Thank you, Phyllis. That was just beautiful. Good morning, everyone. I'm Dan, and I'm going to start the service. Reverend Nat was sharing with me that the song that we're about to sing is something that Charles Fillmore, our founder at Unity, actually used to say to himself to get himself up and going and out of bed in the morning. So please, let's spring up out of our chairs and begin to sing our opening welcome song, I Fairly Sizzle with Zeal.
I fairly sizzle with zeal and enthusiasm. It runs down from my head to my toes into my protoplasm. And I spring forth with a mighty faith, 'cause I'm charged internally. And I do the things that ought to be done by me. I fairly sizzle with zeal and enthusiasm. If there's troubles or worries I face, I say now let me at 'em. And I spring forth with a mighty faith. I'm living life exuberantly. And I do the things that ought to be done by me. I step in into the world to do the things that I want to do. Not thinking about yesterday, 'cause today is something perfect and new. When I put my heart in gear, it starts a wondrous chain reaction. Every fiber of my being knows the true meaning of satisfaction. I fairly sizzle with zeal and enthusiasm. It runs down from my head to my toes into my protoplasm. And I spring forth with a mighty faith, 'cause I'm charged internally. And I do the things that ought to be done by me. I fairly sizzle with zeal and enthusiasm. If there's troubles or worries I face, I say now let me at 'em. And I spring forth with a mighty faith. I'm living life exuberantly. And I do the things that ought to be done by me. And I do the things that ought to be done by me. And I do the things that ought to be done by me.
All right, we're getting some energy in the room this morning, so thank you. We're going to have our next piece. So greet your neighbor and welcome everyone. And when you hear the music, please come back.
Too late, Dan. centered in the peace of God.
Centered in the peace of God. Let's sit and settle into this place. Center into the peace of God that is everywhere present. We enter into that peace that's in every church, every synagogue, every temple, ashram, sacred circle. We join with all of creation in recognizing and celebrating the presence and the peace of God. We do it in our own unique way here at Unity of Bloomington. This is a unique, special community that is in the midst of a transition, as we all are. And it's going pretty well. So one of the things that we've done is to clarify a sense of identity for this community and created a mission and vision statement. And so let's affirm that together now. We are Unity of Bloomington, a heart-centered community seeking spiritual awakening and transformation. We are deepening our connections with God, self, and others, and attracting our next right minister. Come on. Come on. They're just about ready. That process is underway. And it's going to work really well. What's the next slide? Is there anything else? Okay. Nope. No, not yet. Not yet. We can enjoy the process, like this picture suggests. Any of you have done any hiking or climbing? Once you get to the top, it's all right, but you had spent, well, doing a 14er in Colorado is, 8 or 10 hours. It's about the process. And so the process is what's important. The process shapes us. The process includes endings and beginnings, and an in-between time. I came here 6 months ago at a time of ending for your community. Your spiritual leaders had retired. The community had almost been, the community was really decimated by COVID. And it's been renewed. It's been a real positive influx of energy. It's coming up and it feels good here. I feel happy about what I've been able to accomplish. And then there are endings. Today's an ending for the 6 months that I've been here. Endings and beginnings. We go through a lot of those. We go through those as a community. Businesses go through that. We go through that in our relationships. We go through that endings and beginnings and transition time personally, again and again. So endings and beginnings, and then that in-between time. There are a number of books about that, about transition time. One of them is called Hell in the Hallway. Because when one door opens, another door, when one door closes, another door opens, but then it's hell in the hallway. Well, I saw something where somebody said, I don't know about that. The only time I've ever noticed that when one door closes, another door opens is in prison. The journey is good. The journey can be difficult. The in-between time, the transition time can be a challenge. It's a time to find what works, to let go of what hasn't worked, to be renewed. This is renewal season. This is the Easter season. Okay? It's about starting over again. And taking that journey, sometimes it seems like a wilderness. A standard story that's used for transition times as a metaphor for it is the story of the exodus of the Hebrew people out of Egypt through the wilderness for 40 years to the promised land of Israel. Endings and beginnings. There are a number of things that happened to them along the way. One of the things that happened is they needed to be fed. There was a crisis of what they couldn't take enough food for the entire journey. They had to find something along the way. And there was manna, this substance that was available in the early morning. Early morning is a good time to be spiritually fed. Early morning is a time to take advantage of the quietness that we may have had experienced overnight and turn our attention to oneness, to love, to spirit. And so we can find spiritual food early in the morning. Individually, we find it Sunday mornings here at Unity. The story says that the people were wandering all over the place. There were neighbors that had some interesting, different ideas about the divine and what was important in life. And they were drifting off and trying this and trying that. And the leadership, Moses, the spiritual leader that called them to start this journey, was really baffled, frustrated, angry. So he left. He went up to the mountaintop and came back with principles that needed to be followed. A sense of identity for who they are. The 10 Commandments. But it was a central set of beliefs and principles that the community could gather around. We did something like that whenever we worked on the mission and the vision and the core values, kind of saying, this is what Unity of Bloomington is about. Clarify the identity of this spiritual community. We did some of that with looking at the history, talking about next steps in the future. We can gather around a sense of who we are, what we value, what we practice. That happened on that journey. That's an important in-between step. That helped out Moses. People got back together. But still, all those people complaining, why did you take us out of Egypt? People didn't want to come. They wanted to go back. People are saying, are we there yet? How long is it going to be? It's been 10, 20, 30 years. How long is it going to be? When are we going to get there? And besides that, all kinds of administrative problems were coming up. He couldn't handle it himself. No minister, no single minister can handle everything that comes up in a church by themselves. Many times we can't handle all of the things that come up in our individual lives by ourselves. We need some help. So Moses set up a system of judges, administrative helpers that could take care of different elements, different issues in the community, and things went better. People have stepped up at Unity of Bloomington to take care of things, to help out, to manage some things. And some good stuff has happened. It will continue to happen because a system like that has some energy, has some life, and it will continue with support. Okay? So this next transition time that's coming up, when you don't have a formal spiritual leader, it's important that the community steps up and contributes, that the system that's in place now gets some energy. So everybody is needed. Everybody has something that can be contributed. And that energy can continue and become a welcoming place for your Moses, for the new spiritual leader to come in place. So that journey was about, that story was about community and about inspiration. That we started talking about the future of Unity of Bloomington with those two topics, community and inspiration. What's it take to get people to come back into this building on Sunday morning and just not tune in on television or on their computer? What's different about being here in person from being here virtually? You connect with people. There's a sense of community. You can be with others that you know. And there's an energy that comes from being together. We can call that inspiration. You get inspiration by watching it virtually. But have you noticed that you can feel some energy when you come in the door of this building? Because this building has spiritual energy in it. There is an energy in coming together openly and receptively to that living spirit of truth. It's like if you have gone to a meditation class, you know it's a little bit easier to meditate in a group than it is sitting at home by yourself. Community and inspiration is the key. It's here. It's working. There's been new energy. There are goals in place and plans in place. Some of them have been achieved. We are there with some of them. But are we there yet for everything that we want? No. Psychologists and sociologists and metaphysicians and spirit and scholars of religion talk about life cycles, that we go through a life cycle of birth, growth, achievement, stagnation, decline, old, and death. That works somewhere, some places. It's like laws of physics. Well, that works most of the time unless you look at the larger sense, you know. So yes, there's this life cycle of growth, achievement, decline, and death. That might be true of like our physical bodies, but that's not true of everything about us. And it has been applied to church. It's been applied to spiritual communities, particularly the growth, achievement, stagnation, decline part. There's a lot of churches that have gone out of business. A lot of church buildings have been sold, and the congregations combined with others. I was visiting family and friends in Pittsburgh earlier this week, and a half a dozen churches, Catholic churches, in one community had been combined into one. 6 different ones combined into one, and there weren't many people there either. Some churches are doing well. Some Unity churches have closed, but not many, and they're coming back. So that decline and death can happen, but what you do is you catch it. When things begin to decline, you catch it and go back over to the growth side. We talk about resurrection. We talk about reincarnation. We talk about rebirth, new energy, new life. And so growth, excitement, innovation, sometimes disorganization, and then the system gets in place and it begins working, and people say, here we are, we've made it. And you start to slide. Okay? When you think you have made it, that's the time that you have to look and say, what can we do to stay energized? What can we do to stay on top here? Businesses keep bringing in new products because they want to keep that new energy going. The same is true in the spiritual community. You watch out when you say, we're there, because in some ways we never get there. Are we there yet? No, we're never going to get there. It's never going to be done. It's never going to be complete and perfect. Perfection is something that's off in the distance that may attract us and may orient us, but will probably never be accomplished, because growth, evolution, continual newness seems to be the nature of things. Back to the story. After 40 years, it was time to enter the promised land. But Moses didn't get there. He didn't get to go in. He was a transitional leader. His job was to help them through the wilderness. And he did that. The journey is what it's about. In the process of going through the wilderness, that tribe of people was transformed. It turned into something cohesive and inspired and strong. The journey transformed them. Nation of Israel is still working on it. It hasn't arrived yet. They got their land back in 1949, but have had several wars since, and they're still fighting with each other with the political turmoil going on there. They're not there yet, and it's been thousands of years for them. We need to enjoy the journey, to trust the process. It's not where we're going, it's how we're getting there. New beginnings. Welcome the journey. But we need to pay attention to endings too. Sometimes we don't, when we get to something new, we feel like, we made it. New beginnings create some confusion. There's a whole lot of old stuff that needs to be dealt with whenever you're starting something new. So beginnings need attention, and so do endings. Endings need attention too. In the story, people wanted to go back to Egypt. It was desirable. It was better to go back to what they knew, even if it wasn't so great, rather than stepping off into nothingness, into a vague process with some promise at the end. But they couldn't go back because the Red Sea had closed back over. The way the return was closed off. They had to go forward. We need to go forward from endings. We need to pay attention to endings. I've told a couple of you, I'm not real good at endings. The hardest part of my job is saying goodbye to people and communities that I've spent 6 months to 2 years with. I never really learned much about saying goodbye because emotions weren't, my family was not very emotionally fluent. When my mother lost her cat, she had several cats, she had several dogs. It's like, why do dogs die so early? You have to deal with that loss. Well, she really had this cat that she really loved. Well, the cat passed away. Now, some people immediately get another pet without really feeling what's happened. Well, she felt what was happening and said she's never getting another pet. And it's too hard when they die. And that's two different extremes. But that was my family tradition. No, we're not going to feel any more pain. We're going to close ourselves off from that. We're not going to look at loss. We're not going to look at grief. We're not going to deal with endings at all. We're always saying goodbye in one way or another. There are always some things that are ending, and we need to get better at it. We need to practice it. There's some skill and comfort that's required in that. And in the process of growth, we have to leave behind some things that no longer serve us. We have to say goodbye to something that would hold us back, some situations or practices or people that would interfere with our moving forward. Jesus had a story about having to leave home. You have to leave home. You have to grow up and assume your own identity and step out onto your own path. And as we move on, we'll say, what do I do with this, all this yesterday? How do I say goodbye? I give it to God. I give it to God and somehow come to a conclusion of, I'm done. It's finished. But we say, it's finished. We say, I'm done after maybe doing the work of saying goodbye, after establishing the consciousness of moving through the sense of loss that comes up. How do we do that? Well, there's an interesting prescription, a set of steps included in Scripture. Two of the steps are, I turn it over, I give it to God. I'm done. two of the last words of Jesus from the cross. The 7 last words of Jesus show some steps that are helpful in learning how to finish, how to say goodbye. Those are probably the last ones. If you look at it as a series of steps, those are the last 2. Into thy hands I commit my spirit. I'm finished. Those last 2. Give it to God and say, I'm done. First step is connect with God. Trust that there's a presence and power that is connected with it. So in your own way, when you have to say goodbye with something, when you're confronted with feelings or difficulties, how do you connect with ultimate reality? How do you plug in to personal power and inspiration? What prayers work for you? Trust God. Trust the process. How do you do that? Well, you reconnect. You remember what connects you with the divine. You have things that have worked, so you remember those. That's the first step. Next step is be honest about what's happening. A lot of times whenever we don't like what's happening, we close our eyes to it. We pretend it's not there. Nope, I don't see that. No, I don't want to look at that. Okay? We need to be honest about what's happening around us. We need to be honest about what's happening within us. Because I grew up with a lot of techniques of not paying attention to what's happening inside, not paying attention to emotions. So that's called what we do to not feel what is there is called self-medication. We medicate it, and that's the basis of addiction. We get used to hiding from what is by establishing blinders and closing off our ability to see it and feel it. So we have to be honest, be real. Next step, before we leave, make sure we do everything we need to do. Don't leave any loose ends. Take care of business. Now, in church business, it's never done. It's usually never good enough either. But to take care of what you can take care of. What is, we sang that affirmation, to do what is mine to do. And decide, I'm going to leave this behind. I'm going to take this with me. Take care of things so that we can leave with a sense of satisfaction that what was mine to do, I've done. So trust, be honest, take care of loose ends, and then give up the hope of a better or different yesterday. Give up the hope that things would have been different, could have been better. That kind of thought can squirrel cage and hold us back, keep us connected to yesterday so that it's hard to say goodbye. That give up the hope of a better, different past is a definition of forgiveness from the Grief Recovery Institute. We think about forgiveness as, well, in a lot of ways, but of letting go of regret that didn't do something differently, or letting go of resentment that they didn't do something differently. It's yesterday. We have to work to the point of forgiving ourselves, forgiving others, freeing ourselves from any tentacles, any chains that would hold us back. That's forgiveness work. We could always have done it differently. Things could always have been done better. Oh well. But there was still goodness at work. There was still a presence and power that was at work, establishing divine order, working all things together for good. Turn it over. Turn it over. Trust the divine. Be honest about what's happening. Take care of loose ends. Forgive self and others. Turn it over and be done. Be done. Takes strength to take those steps. Takes trust to take those steps. Trust and strength. Endings and beginnings. Trust in spirit. Trust in the process. Trust in the strength within to follow direction and to take the steps. We're going to sing a song in preparation for meditation that's about trust and strength. I invite you to use this meditation time to think about a personal transition that you're in or you may have gone through. Because you may have gone through a transition and maybe left something unfinished about endings, or maybe didn't do everything that should have been done for new beginnings. Reflect on the process that you went through, your own Exodus journey out of the bondage of limitation of slavery in Egypt, through the wilderness of confusion to the destination, the promised land, where there's still work to do. So we're going to sing one of my favorite songs. I finally twisted Phyllis's arm and said, this is a new song. Yeah, it's kind of traditional. The words are taken from a couple of different psalms written by David. So it's about trust and strength. So listen to it, join in, and allow it to bring you a sense of centeredness.
Strong
do it one more time softly. Trust and strength. Two powerful tools that you have. Trust and strength. So allow yourself to settle into a quiet place, a holy place, a hiding place. A centered place from which you have a perspective on your life. And is there a transition that comes to mind in your life? One today or one that's taken place? From this hiding place, from this spiritual centered space, put yourself back into that transition with trust. Trust the Lord of your being. Trust the Spirit within you. Trust the infinite love and wisdom of the absolute goodness of God. And affirm your strength. I am strong. Be strong. Feel the energy of strength and life come into you with every breath. Be strong. Strong enough to be honest and face whatever has happened or is happening. Be strong to be present to what is. And in that strength, in that trust, now what? Listen, watch, wait, be open and receptive to inspiration, to direction. Open and receptive in the depth of your being, the deep silence of your sacred soul. Settle into the silence openly, receptively, with trust and strength. Notice the sensation of your breath once again, and the strength of God's life, of perfect life that moves through every cell and tissue of your body. You are strong. You can move forth and do what is yours to do. You trust that you see the way energy flows before you, that your path unfolds before you. A flow of goodness. It's the flow of divine love. Divine love that connects you with strength. Divine love that embraces you and assures you that you can trust the process. Divine love. Absolute goodness. That's all there is. That's all you need. There's only love.
There is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love. There is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love. There is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love. There is only love.
Amen. And love flows through us. It blesses and multiplies who we are. All that we have, all that we give, all that we receive is blessed in the flow of divine love. This is the time in our service where we prepare our love offerings and tithes in support of Unity of Bloomington, where we clarify what we may ask, put down on a prayer request. Newcomers might give comments on a first impression sheet. It's a time when we think about what's on the road before us today. We want to take this love, this trust, this strength with us as we proceed through the sometimes confusing wilderness of our lives in the direction that we need to go. So our love offering blessing today is, I change it up all the time. If we say the same prayer over and over, I think that it kind of loses its connection with consciousness. So, joy, gratitude, abundance, good things. Let's declare this together in blessing our coming week. Everything that we give of our thoughts and words, gifts and actions. Together. With joy I give, with gratitude I receive. God's great circle of abundance is completed in me. So it is. Amen.
I see joy, I see peace, I see goodness surrounding me. I see love in every breath I breathe. I see God in everything. I see happiness, I see freedom. I see the beauty that lives in me. I see perfection in what life brings. I see God in everything. I feel joy, I feel peace, I feel goodness surrounding me. I feel love in every breath I breathe. I feel God in everything. I feel happiness, I feel freedom. I feel the beauty that lives in me. I feel perfection in what life brings. I feel God in everything. I know joy, I know peace, I know goodness surrounding me. I know love in every breath I breathe. I know God in everything. I know happiness, I know freedom. I know the beauty that lives in me. I know perfections in what life brings. I know God's in everything. I know God's in everything.
Yeah. Amen. Stuff's happening. Yep. Let's see. Next week, Quero. Wendy Wonderling is going to do the Sunday service, and she's going to follow it with a fire ceremony outside. Pachamama. Wait a minute. Let's go back. Honor Pachamama, Mother Earth. Wendy's was trained in some indigenous shaman tradition in South America. And so this is going to be a little different, but I think it's going to be, it'll touch you deeply. Okay, then in 2 weeks, Mother's Day, we have 3 different perspectives on Mother's Day from 3 members of our community. And Mother's Day is going to be the beginning of our youth education program. And so I think Luke's going to bring his daughter. We're going to have at least one person in it. Okay? All right, so we're starting a child care program 1 Sunday a month. Not sure exactly which Sunday it'll be, but it's going to be at least one. So that's, we want to get it to be consistent, but this is the first step. And then 2 weeks, and the 21st is Music Sunday. And if you have any musical requests, let Phyllis know. Take care of it? Yeah, okay. So let's close this with a circle. Okay? That'll be nice for me. So, why don't you just turn a little bit? Okay. Oh, it's coming. Okay, move over. Okay, all right. This is the kind of problem that we want to have. How do we make a circle with so many people here? Yeah, all right. That's going to be like something that I said to the finance committee, is you have to be ready to make the decision on what are we going to do with all this money? Yeah. So, power, love, protection, oneness. So we want to share that. So you feel the hands? We're connected with many, many people that have come before us, that are following us, that are sharing life on earth right now. And with them and for them, we declare these words of power together. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
Since this is Reverend Nat's last Sunday, we'd like for you to stick around for just a short reception. If you haven't had a chance to write a little note to him, the material's out in the lobby. Thank you.